For me, it's critically important that young people become engaged and responsive and responsible global citizens. And I think that there's nothing that can do that better than a service learning program where they really immerse themselves in another culture.
So this program in South Africa is transformative in the spirit of the Jesuit call to be men and women for others. This academic program with this service program ensures that Marquette students come away with a solidarity for the economic people.
The group of 20 students live together at Kimberly House, which they affectionately call K House. And they attend classes at the University of the Western Cape 3 days a week and visit their service sites 2 days a week.
We are placed at different sites. Some are at schools, some are in arts programs, some are in a community foundation or an NGO.
So presently, the focus of the program is on social justice. It has an academic component, and embedded within this a service program in the townships in South Africa.
We do recruitment for this program on a national level, but we also focus on recruitment at Jesuit universities who share a similar mission.
The critical dimension is it starts with an orientation here that really gives the students the ability to understand the culture and reality of South Africa. And then it moves to this outstanding residential director, Melakaya Neshengwa, who is a South African birth and was part of the struggle during the apartheid era. And Melakaya provides this incredible background and strength for the program. And then we have Marquette faculty support, which is critical to support this program. The Marquette faculty are academic directors that do academic advising. They do a reflection in the K House that integrates all the different components of the program into a comprehensive whole.
The classes that I was taking when I was in South Africa were very interesting, but they wouldn't have meant anything unless I had the service learning component to the work I was doing. So those two things went hand in hand.
And because of the service sites that they are in and the kind of work that they do 2 full days a week, they really become knowledgeable as far as needs that need to be addressed, social needs that need to be addressed in our society, not only in the United States, but globally as well.
In terms of being a global citizen and this program influencing that, absolutely. There are different ideas and concepts that we learn in the States, like poverty and inequality and racism and even xenophobia. There's just different things that we might hear about in the States, but until you see it for your own eyes and you experience some of that for your own eyes, you're never going to fully understand what's going on with you in the world.
Immersing yourself in putting yourself in an unfamiliar environment, and not only that, but the program really forces you to process. It was a cross-cultural experience where I was forming relationships with people from another culture, people who spoke a different language, people who lived in a different, a completely different environment than me, and forming those relationships both personally and professionally. That was a really, really good experience for me.
I was drawn to the program specifically because I extremely like the service learning portion of it. That was a big part of it. That's what really made this specific study abroad unique and different.
So during that time, they are working with these organizations. One, they get to develop relationships with the organizations, with the staff is there, the workers there. They get to develop trust with the kids that they are working with. Once you do that, probably the first couple of months or so, then you're able to have an impact.
They are amazing students, and every semester I had in my class 2 students. In every time they surprised me with the friendliness, the accommodation, the initiative that they use.
They offload a lot of work that I'm doing by myself alone. Sometimes I felt like it's too much for me, and as soon as they get here, and I will just tell them what to do, and they will do it, and they go for an extra mile, to be honest. and they are always eager to learn.
You know, always with the kids, always looking for something to do, always looking for something to help, which is a good thing.
And they are here to take a lot of that strain off of our shoulders. When they're here, we can really depend on them. So for me, it's amazing that I have students in my class.
You know, they uplift, you know, their spirits, you know, and make them confident of what they are doing, you know, because they've got sympathy, you know, they love them, you know, they give them that love, which most of them are not getting in their homes.
I can say to all of them, keep it up the good work, girls. We love you. We wish you all the best in the life journey.
And so for us, it's about the impact that is done at the particular organization, growing the organization, changing lives of the young people, whether immediate or in the long term, or setting up the systems such that the organization can then take forward.
They also, along with their service, in order that they will really know what service is and what systemic change is, what development is that they take a course called Grassroots Leadership, Community Development, and Social Analysis, so that there is a purpose in the service that they do.
What I try and do is I try and give them first a theoretical background to what do we mean by community development. What do we have to do when we go out there and we work with community people? What is the philosophy underlying the whole notion of empowering people to develop themselves?
When they do volunteer work as adults throughout their adult lives, they will know why they're doing it, and they will be able to say, what are the changes that are necessary and how can I work towards solutions in these social areas in which there's deprivation and change that is needed.
There is a second course that's required for the students in theology. The underpinnings is a justice and reconciliation in a post-apartheid South African reality. But really what it comes out of is students searching for their own identity in a world that's broken. And the course really tries to address the relationship between the student and God.
I remember my first teaching day, I was so intimidated by all these 12-year-olds, and I thought, wow, like, I'm 22 and these 12-year-olds can be really intimidating, but I guess it just pushed me to get out of my comfort zone altogether and inspired me to keep traveling, because I thought I had this idea of what South Africa was like, and it's definitely not what I thought it would be, and it's been far better than I imagined.
Many were so heavily marked by the kind of interactions that they had, and not only at the service learning sites too, through some of the classes that they took at UWC, which were very different from the types of classes they were used to in the States.
UWC still, I think, has more of the marginalized and first-time university students really coming there. There's a number of students from other African countries as well, and it's just a good experience.
At UWC, whether you like it or not, you stand out as an American student, and therefore you are forced to ask yourself questions as well as to what is happening here.
I feel like the roles have been flipped. You know, we've always learned, and we could always try to sympathize with people of minority and the struggles that they have to go through the school system and through just our entire society. There's struggles that me as a white and privileged individual will never understand.
And it was very eye-opening and definitely gives you like respect for other cultures and understanding for other cultures for sure.
Well, I was sitting in class with people that were living in squatter communities or in shacks even, and traveling hours a day to get to class. So I think definitely from like just a walking on campus standpoint, you felt like a minority, but I also felt like I had just such a better view of what South Africa, what the majority of South African lives like, and what the struggle is to achieve things like going to a university.
They fit in very well in the classes and they participate extremely well, so they bring a good flavor to the university. They make a difference in our classrooms.
The students live together in one place because when they are in one place, they are able to, on an ongoing basis, to discuss their challenges, their fears.
In the K House, we strive to create a space for reflection for the students to share their experiences. There's also a graduate student from the University of the Western Cape who lives with them to provide them with cultural and local guidance.
Coming here, we all go through a culture shock, and we see things that are sometimes hard to experience. And we have a very big support system here in the house. Like, we might not always get along, but everybody here can empathize with something, or at least understand and be a great support system.
Like, when we come from our sites, it's an outlet of conversation and letting out our feelings, and everyone is understanding and they can get where we're coming from.
What I wanted out of a house like that is that they would live in community with one another, and that they would have community meetings, they would eat together most of the time, and live in one house together and be a Marquette community, and yet engage and be immersed within the culture of South Africa itself.
If it wasn't for K-House, I don't know. It probably wouldn't be the same. That's the big aspect of the program as well.
Our students themselves, I've found some of them changing their majors, and saying, you know what, I need to be more on do social service. Or even if I don't change my route, let's say of becoming an engineer perhaps, but for a couple of years, let me do more volunteer work.
When I went into this program, I thought like my summer internship is event planning and doing stuff for New York events and stuff, and now I think I definitely want to work with like an NGO or something like that, more like non-for-profit thing, or kind of like work more with people rather than about product, because I think there's a lot of value in that now.
I came in thinking that I wanted to go into grad school for clinical psychology. Then these kids came into my life, and I honestly don't know what I want to do now, because I know that I want to keep working with the youth, and I know I want to keep doing some type of work with them, but I just don't know how. And I think that's something that I need to go home and reflect to and just really think about what I want to do with my future.
There's a minor at my school that's involved in community service, and I'd always considered doing it, but after, I think it was about a month after I was working here, I was like, I need to do this program. Like, I want to work in nonprofit, the nonprofit field. I want to work with kids. So I'm very sure now that I want to either hopefully go to grad school for like nonprofit administration and definitely continue working in this field and with kids.
I think what I am going to end up doing is continuing just with the history major, finishing that out, and then going and doing some sort of volunteering. Because the other part of my volunteering, the NGO aspect, and that was the aspect that was absolutely not planned. It has been very stressful, it has been very rewarding, and I think I've kind of fallen in love with it.
So while they change and they assist us in growing literacy and numeracy issues, they themselves also find themselves, because some of them may have not actually decided what they really want to do. And when they are here, they see that there are bigger issues that exist, and they are impacted by what they hear, but also what they see, and they ask themselves, well, what contribution can I make in the world?
During my time at Marquette, I did have a lot of formative experiences that sort of opened my eyes to the realities of oppression, marginalization, and poverty, in our world. And for me, South Africa was an opportunity to experience those things in an international setting, and really was a launch pad for me. I'd always thought that I wanted to live abroad and work abroad permanently. And once I had that experience on South Africa, it was just a confirmation for me. This is what I want to do. And I ended up serving for 3.5 years in Sao Paulo, Brazil, as a lay missionary.
Many of these students, they want to come back. They want to come back to Africa. They want to come back to South Africa. They want to go to developing countries.
There are people, just in my group alone, there's 3 of them are other places on the African continent right now, serving in different capacities. And I think that it just gives people courage to kind of explore things that they had never been exposed to before, or ignite passions in them that they didn't know were there.
It's really a life-changing experience for the students. We've learned in survey responses from them that 64% of the participants participate in service learning experiences after graduation. It's an incredible experience for them.
To see them wanting to make a difference in this world and make the world a better place for all peoples, and to see social justice, and to see human rights, and to see those things that are so needed around the world. And it thrills me no end to see students blossoming in those areas.
It was hard. It was really hard. It's so weird because you think oh well, maybe you're just a small piece in their lives, but they've changed my life forever. And it sounds so cheesy and stupid, but they flipped my life around, and it was so hard to see that. Those 4 months I worked so hard for, and every day was they made me smile and they made me happy, and it's hard to see them go.
I want to say thank you, Frankie and Celeste, for teaching us. You've taught us that we must have self-esteem, and you taught us that we must respect others, and thank you.